Hello and welcome to another edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia. I'm your host, Tommy McIntyre Jr. Well, the Eagles did it again. They won 3-0 now in the season. We're going to be talking all things Eagles and an amazing first game of the season. Then we're going to talk a little Phillies. Coming to the end of the year, they're struggling a little bit. We'll be speaking about them later as well, so stay tuned.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Oh, this you crazy mother.
Hello. Well, it was another great win for the Philadelphia Eagles. A big shocker as well. Pittsburgh Steelers coming in 2-0, one of the best offenses in the league, and the Eagles shock them with a 34-3 win. Oh man, I want to thank my guests coming on the show today. Once again, Elvis Chilakis talking a little Eagles and Phillies for us. And first time on the show, Kyle McIntosh, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. All right, let's get into it, right? All right, so Eagles coming in with a huge win. I can't believe it, honestly. We didn't expect this. A lot of us, Elvis, you actually predicted the Eagles win 34-31. You got the 34, but only three points scored for the Pittsburgh Steelers. What did you take away from this one, man?
First off, I just want to take away that just calm down, guys. It's just the Steelers. Like we've been making, people have been making excuses that the Eagles have been facing these poor teams. Then we face a tough contest, like I said before, like the Steelers. And we aced that test, aced it almost. Whew. I mean, what I took away from this game is that Carson Wentz is probably the real deal. Like the way he's playing, like I said before, an all-time veteran. Like he's been, like you said, I think Brett Favre came on Sirius XM radio that one time, and he said that he played like a veteran, and he displayed on the field once again. And other than that, it kind of displays like this type of like underdog status for us because we're defeating these. Well, we just defeated a great team that was as either a Super Bowl contender or practically last week they were #1 in the power ranking. So that's a huge win, and especially the total amount of points we scored against them and the amount of points we led against them, which is only 3 points, a field goal. We blocked the field goal and we stopped Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers' offense that are one of the most powerful offenses. It's just it's like a dream that you don't have to wake up from because it's true. So that's. Oh God, it's just fun.
So Kyle, what were your what were your impressions of this game? Obviously, 34-3, huge win, unexpected for sure. People had the Eagles maybe having an outside shot if Carson Wentz could come to play, but that defense as well was stellar in that game.
Definitely, the defense is one of the best things I've noticed about this year. We took it back to basics. Jim Schwartz has done a great job getting our guys ready to play every Sunday. You look at the time that they're on the field, it's short. We don't have the longest defense on the field this year like we had last year. Our guys come in rested, making constant plays. Even the young cornerback out of LSU, Jalen Mills, did a good job of working with Antonio Brown, making sure he's not getting too open, scoring those touchdowns. So when you think about it, #1 offense, Antonio Brown is a big reason because of that. Getting passes from Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now, and just completely stopping that. There was interesting stats said during the game from the commentators. They're saying that the Steelers made it into the end zone 5 consecutive drives in the red zone. Shut down. It's just amazing.
It really was incredible to see a team coming into your home field. The Eagles have, over the years, actually haven't been great at home, to be all honest. I mean, over the years, they've actually struggled. And to come on your home field, state rival, Pennsylvania, baby, and they straight up got, really, they just couldn't score a touchdown. Let's be honest about it. Let's actually talk about Pennsylvania. Carson Wentz graphic up. He just got named at a NFC Player of the Week and NFC Rookie of the Month. Big time, obviously 23 of 31, 301 yards, 2 TDs. That big TD to Darren Sproles, the 73-yarder, when he got out of the pocket, moved around, and threw a nice dump pass over when the play broke down. That was a huge moment in the game for sure. And what did you see from Carson Wentz again this week?
I saw practically what we expected to see from him throughout his entire career. And one thing I wanted to mention that I saw in the game is how well Carson Wentz can improvise whenever he wants to. That pass to Darren Sproles is one of the most exciting plays of the year, but the way he moved out of the pocket and he bought time for his receivers to get open, especially Darren Sproles making that check on, what was that linebacker that got injured for the Steelers? There was
I know what you mean. I'm
Yeah.
the name's forgetting me.
yeah,
but I
but
know what you mean.
he was struggling the entire game. Then Sproles got open, and the way Carson Wentz just buys times for his receivers, he improvises, and how he just makes plays as they come, and as he plays the game, it's really unbelievable. And the way he played, he deserves all those accolades that he got, especially a big win like last week.
Kyle, do you feel the same about Carson Wentz?
Yeah, I definitely feel the same. One of the biggest things I noticed about Carson Wentz is his composure. Last year, you look at Sam Bradford's face during the end of drives, and you just see him looking lost. Carson Wentz looks like he belonged there. He's coming out of a AA school, but it looks like he's been in the NFL for decades. He has that level of composure and intensity, moving around in the pocket, just completely dodging that blitz. Rookie quarterbacks shouldn't move that good.
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing if you think about it, the fact that, honestly, coming in the season, this guy wasn't supposed to start. He was supposed to be third on the depth chart after Chase Daniel, which is kind of like mind-boggling right now if you think about it. If it was for Teddy Bridgewater in Minnesota getting hurt with a serious knee injury, we wouldn't even be known. Pennsylvania would be just regular old Pennsylvania. Sam Bradford would still be the starting quarterback. Maybe he's doing nice in Minnesota right now. Minnesota's 3-0, but that defense in Minnesota is the reason why they're doing so well. Wow, talk about a change of like everything right now in the city. Did you see this coming?
No, not at all. I mean, you could practically say that Teddy Bridgewater is the Philadelphia Eagles MVP because he started all this, the Sam Bradford trade and everything else. That all these events came into fold, and then we got the Browns game, the Bears game, and now the Steelers game. Pennsylvania is here, brother.
But let's go to some other guys, actually, the running backs who really stepped up. A guy that not too much is really thought of would be a huge factor this year. The fact that Ryan Matthews went down early in the game, he was hurt. They figured, you know what, let's go with another guy. They went with Smallwood, right? Smallwood coming in, really being a really nice back for them, a guy that 5th-round pick this past year. Really didn't expect him. Me personally didn't expect him to be a guy that we could count on, but he's looked nice early on.
Yeah, he has looked nice, especially with Smallwood and Sproles and Barner. It's just a free-headed monster. And I don't know what happened with Matthews. I think he got injured. But,
Yeah.
you know, we can always rely on him to at least stay healthy. But if he does go down, then we have the free-headed monster, like I said before. But Smallwood, I saw, he was really great. He had some very explosive runs against the Steelers defense, and it's just amazing to see how explosive this offense can be, especially with our quarterback that's so agile and especially with Smallwood. I mean, he has a bright future with Philadelphia, in my own opinion.
Yeah, he really does. And in all honesty, like you think about the fact that these running backs are all getting kind of equal carries. I really appreciate the way that Doug Peterson is kind of utilizing the balance of the offense. I think that's actually a critical thing, considering the fact that everyone thought this guy was going to be a lot like Andy Reid, but he's actually turned in. Andy Reid was a guy that was known to be very pass heavy, not really. If the running backs weren't working, if the running game wasn't working, he wasn't going to do it. So, Kyle, do you feel that that's a huge factor now? That the reason why their offense is doing so well is that they can kind of have that balance.
Yeah, definitely. When I think football, I think you got to run your offense properly. You got to split it up. You have to make sure you're not too consistent to the point where, you know, they'll be able to read you. They'll know, oh, hey, it's 3rd down, it's long. They're going to pass it. The ability to be able to count on Smallwood to make those one cuts in the middle of the field and just take off, it's so important because that lets us know, and that lets the defense know of the other team that they can't just, read us like that. They can't, rush if they think that we're just going to pass. They can't, just blitz every play. They got to know that we're coming at you with Matthews, Smallwood. Carson Wentz is going to be able to move in the pocket. Trey Burton had a really impressive game. Just being able to use all of our weapons, make sure that they aren't too relied on, because if one person goes down on a team like the Steelers, for example, if you take Antonio Brown out, who are they really relying on? When you have multiple weapons, it really, really, really shows that you have a strong offense.
And it's also nice to be unpredictable as a team as well.
Yes, exactly. Changing up, it looks like they've kind of changed up each week as well, the offense game plan. So I think there's a huge reason why they're doing so well. And you got to give a lot of credit to Coach Doug Peterson for a guy that really has outcoached Mike Tomlin, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, and you really have to give him credit. Let's go over to the other side of the ball, because I think a lot of people forget how good the defense played on Sunday and really has played this year. Fletcher Cox, we can bring that graphic up. Fletcher Cox, man, we knew he was going to be a big-time player, or at least we hope, considering he just signed a huge contract. He's a massive part of that defensive line. Defensive Player of the Month, 3 sacks, 6 hurries. So what have you seen from Fletcher Cox, but really this whole entire defense?
We expected, we kind of saw what we expected from Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz, in my own opinion, is a quarterback assassin because he always pressures the quarterback, and they always, especially the players like Fletcher Cox and Vinny Curry and Brandon Graham, they always go towards the quarterback. And especially with a 4-3 defense like ours that we have at the moment, it's really nice to see that we actually got a defense and to see how these players are flourishing rather than having Billy Davis's defense from last year that just kind of struggled and was a roller coaster ride throughout the entire year. And it's nice to see the defense to be consistent and to actually, like I think Kyle said, we're being fresh. We're not staying on the field too long. We're making plays. Only thing that I have to say is that we have to catch the football. If we want to end the game sooner rather than later, we don't have to have brick hands. We just want to catch the football, have interceptions, and end the game right there, and not tug at our heartstrings anymore.
Kyle, Fletcher Cox, really, like I mentioned before, huge part of that defensive line to go along with guys like Brandon Graham, who showed up on Sunday. The defensive backs, Jenkins, really just came to play. McLeod's another safety we got now, just really playing well. What have you seen from these guys?
I definitely see we're using our defensive weapons a lot more efficiently. Last year we had people doing things that maybe didn't fit their schemes that they're used to. We have Jim Schwartz's, defensive coordinators and everything, really using, like I said, Fletcher Cox properly, just allowing him to just rush that, forward down lineman, just really, really solidifies, his space on the field. You know he can make it happen. You give him the opportunity to make it happen, and he's going to make it happen. Fletcher Cox is one of my favorite defensive players I've seen for a long time. It makes me think of the old '92 Eagles and just like the great defense that we had before and the great defense that we're building up now. Man, if Fletcher Cox being on the forefront of that, it's looking really good for the next couple of years.
It should be. I mean, we're looking forward to it. Now we can actually bring that offense and defense. I got a graphic kind of comparing the two, and you gotta give them credit to defense because honestly, I mean, look, offense had no turnovers, which is a huge reason it's going to help our defense. The offense has been on the field. I think they lead the league in time of possession, which is the total opposite of last year because with Chip Kelly, he was so quick, he would get that defense right back on the field. And do you think that is actually a critical part of why the defense is playing so well? They're just not on the field as much. They have more time to rest. I think they're playing somewhere between 20 and 25 plays less than they have the past couple of years. So what do you think about that, Elvis?
I mean, it's also nice to keep our players fresh, and it's also nice to keep the right guys on the field. Like we said, the time of possession might seem like an unimportant stat in football, but in my own opinion, it's nice to keep, like I said before, the players fresh. And going back on the offense and defense, I mean, they're just excelling. I think we're number 1 in points per game with the offense, and then with the defense, it's just the fewest points allowed. And what was it the point difference with the Eagles? It's really the stats can always mention so much, but you have to witness this team.
Yeah,
in person.
exactly. It's kind of it's funny because people, Eagles fans, us in general, or just Philadelphia, and then the world, the media itself from the nationwide, they don't know how to react to the Eagles because it's been so. We didn't have these coming with these huge expectations, and now they've kind of outproved everybody. And Kyle, so do you think it's kind of we're in this state now, especially with this bye week, that the fans, the media and everything is kind of trying to figure out, can this last?
Yeah, it's definitely, you hear so many detractors early in the season. Oh, hey, we only played the Browns. Oh, we only played the Bears. We played the Steelers, and we had our most impressive game versus what was supposed to be the best team, like you said earlier. It's definitely, it takes away from all these detractors saying, the Eagles aren't that good. Oh, the Eagles are going to disappoint the fans again. Been an Eagles fan all of my life, and I can say that, honestly, we've never seen a better start than what we had now. And you can tell they're going to be consistent because they're doing the same things. They're doing them well. You know that they're practicing. You know that Jim Schwartz is going to keep on coaching his defense. Doug Peterson, and that he's an offensive-minded coach. He was a quarterback himself. He's going to know how to really, really, really get these guys ready every week. And going into that bye week 3-0, talk about building confidence for Carson Wentz. There is no better confidence builder than being 3-0 and being a better quarterback than than someone who was hailed as a good quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger.
All right, Kyle, before we let you go, this is a bye week, but what do you think is going to have to come down in this next game against Detroit? Do you think that they can go to Detroit and get another win?
I definitely think they're going to go into Detroit. They're going to have a better win. Detroit has Stafford, who doesn't have a strong arm as Roethlisberger. They have Golden Tate as their primary receiver, who's no Antonio Brown. So as long as our defense sticks it in, we can definitely make sure we can still shut these guys down. And again, going into this bye week, we're just going to solidify our strategies, make sure we go into next week really fresh, really proper, and we're going to come away with a W.
All right. I like what I hear, right? All right. So that's going to do us for Eagles Talk. I want to thank Kyle McIntosh for coming on. First time. You did great. And Elvis will be back with us to talk a little Phillies along with Kevin Cook. All right. We'll take a commercial break.
To 21% of all engineering students are women.
16% of all writers, editors, directors, and producers are women.
25% of women hold IT jobs.
And they said we couldn't.
They said I couldn't. And they said we couldn't.
They said I couldn't.
They said I couldn't.
They said we couldn't, but we did.
Tech Girls, putting an end to the technological gender gap.
Hi, I'm John. I'm Eddie, and we are hosts of LaSalle TV's favorite game show, Q&A.
Hey, John, I got a question for you. All right? At what time can viewers catch new episodes of Q&A on LaSalle TV? Is it A, Monday at 6:30, B, Tuesdays at 9:30, or C, all the above?
Is it C?
It is C, all the above.
All the above, wow.
Be sure to check out new episodes of Q&A only on LaSalle TV.
Hello and welcome back. All right, so we're here. We'll talk a little Phillies. It's coming down to the end of the year right now. It's gonna. It was kind of been an interesting year, especially of late. The team's a little bit struggling right now. Brought in Kevin Cook. Thank you so much for joining us to talk a little Phillies. We still have Elvis with us. So Kevin, to start with you. What have you seen from the Phillies now? We've seen now it's pretty much getting down to the end of the month in September. Teams have already clinched their spots in our division with the Nationals already clinching the NL East title. What have you seen from the Phillies this last couple weeks? It's been a little struggles, of course. We got it blown out 17-0 by the Mets. That was definitely not a good game at all.
They've definitely been struggling lately. I think they're 1-5 in their last couple games, so it's not the best ending to the season that you would have liked to have seen, but it's kind of understandable with the rosters expanding for playoff baseball. The Phillies have brought up a lot of their younger players, so you can kind of understand why the record has dipped down the line here. And like some of those players that I was talking about, is one of them is Roman Quinn, who actually, another reason that they might have been struggling lately is because he actually got hurt last week. So. Yeah. They've had to now change and make some other changes in the field compared to what they were putting out earlier on.
Elvis, give us a little bit of your thoughts of the last couple weeks now.
The last couple of weeks have almost been torture, to be quite honest. But I mean, the offense hasn't really come up to the plate. They haven't been swinging the bat really that well. The bullpen has just been a disaster. It's like a tornado just came into our bullpen and just swept everything up. And we got a bunch of bullpen pitchers that are just struggling, that are just giving up like what, 3 to 4 runs every outing. It's just unbelievable. Especially that football game with New York. Did you see that? 2 touchdowns and a field goal with the Mets, and we got nothing.
Oh, you're good. I was like, what, are we talking football here? No, but no, seriously, no. But in all seriousness, it's not good when you see a 17 spot. When I saw that, I was like, I did a double take on my phone. I was like, all right. But yeah, definitely Phillies are in this weird position. It seemed like we saw some hope with some guys. We can actually just bring the graphic up to speak a little bit of what the Phillies have done this year. We still got 70 wins, so I guess that's a bright spot in the sense where we won more games than last year, right? So that's always good. Franco has been a struggle, though. We can't deny it. Franco has struggled this year for the most part. What have you seen from these guys, and do you have hope for the next season in the coming years?
Yeah, this was, like I said before with the Phillies, this is like a season for learning for these guys, especially Franco, Herrera, Hernandez. It's going to be exciting to see these guys play next year and probably do even better than they did the last couple of years. This is our future, and this is probably the team that will probably begin another dynasty, especially with guys coming up like Kevin said, Roman Quinn and Jorge Alfaro, that are just going to be pieces coming up for this team. And I'm guess like right now, like the rookies that are about to be coming up, they're just getting some like a little bit of experience and a little bit of like a taste of like Major League Baseball pie. But I mean, you know, we got to close out the season on a positive note and just like have medium expectations about this team. It's nice to be excited, but you know, just like keep your expectations in sense.
And Ryan Howard, a guy that's not going to be here now, but has done pretty well of late. I mean, he's really hitting right-handed pitching really well. And does he have a spot, Kevin, in the American League? Will you see him being a DH? Because he can hit right-handed pitching. The problem is I don't know how many days he can play during a season.
Yeah, I do think that there's still a spot in Major League Baseball for Ryan Howard, and most likely it will be in the AL, because then they can use him in more than one way as a DH and also kind of to spell a first baseman. But those stats right there don't do Ryan Howard any justice, as I think he was hitting 194 on the year. That was just because of how poor he was in the beginning of the year. Since I think the All-Star break, his numbers have drastically gone up, and a lot of those home runs, and he even had one the other night with the Grand Slam. So I do think that he will have a spot just because of how he's finished off this year.
Yeah, I definitely hope so too. I think Ryan Howard's been one of those most underappreciated guys in really Philly's history, and I hope that maybe, I mean, I'd love to see him retire as a Philly, of course, I mean, because his best years are behind him, but I wouldn't mind. If he goes to the American League, I hope he can get one more shot at a title or something.
I wouldn't mind like the big piece of going out with a big bang, you know.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's going to do us for Phillies talk. Let's get into a little Fast Five, actually, why not? All right, first question, we're going to go to Kevin. Now, we haven't talked Sixers that much, but training camp started. They're down in Stockton University for this week, and Joel Embiid got on the court. How many games do you think he'll play this season?
I would have to say probably around 60, given some just rest days and hopefully no injuries. But
if he plays 60 games,
that would be solid,
yeah, considering he won't play back-to-backs and stuff of that nature. So I think that would be huge. Elvis, who has been the most underappreciated Eagle so far this season?
In my own opinion, I know he dropped an important pass in the end zone earlier this week, but I personally think, like, instead of I want my MTV, I want my DGB. Dorial Green-Beckham has been one of the key targets that I think that Eagles should target more often. I mean, I still can't believe we traded this guy for Dennis Kelly, a backup guard. But I feel like you use him in the fade because use his height to our advantage. Because this guy, he has some talent. He showed some talent his rookie year last year in Tennessee, and I think like the Eagles should target him more often in the upcoming games.
Kevin, another Sixers question. How many years left do you think Brett Brown has here? Do you think he's going to last with this team? Do you think he will be the coach when this team ever gets good?
I hope so. I mean, all that this guy's endured, he definitely deserves a shot. So I would imagine that he'll be here for at least the next 3, maybe 4 years.
Wow,
just
really? You think
because
he's going to be here another 3 years?
only because
if they're not if they do good.
Exactly. I think we've talked about it. It's going to be there's going to be steps till we have a contending team, and then that's when I think that you might see Brett Brown get let go because the team's not exceeding those expectations down the line.
All right, another Eagles question for you, Elvis. You made a bold prediction. 8-8 was the worst case scenario for the Eagles this season. I think it was on our first show of the year. Is that now that you're looking great right now? 8-8 is the worst case scenario. You think that's still worst case scenario for the Eagles?
I mean, if they keep this up, yeah, that's definitely the worst case scenario. Especially that stretch of games that we have against the Packers, the Seahawks, the Cardinals. I think it's going to be a tough stretch of a schedule. But I think so far, if we are consistent, like we mentioned before in the show, then we can actually pass 8-8, maybe even pass 10-6 if we're lucky. I mean, I'm not going that far, but going past 8-8 is really plausible now with how consistent this team is.
Last question, Kevin. Flyers start their preseason this week. Who do you think is going to be the most kind of noteworthy player this year outside of a Claude Giroux that hasn't been playing yet because he's in the World Cup right now?
I'm kind of excited to see Simmons come back. He had 2 goals the other night, I think, and he had a very good year last year. I think he might have led the team in goals, or he was up there in the leaders. So I'm excited to see how he comes back after probably his career year last year.
Yeah, so am I. I think Simmons is one of those guys that really fits Philly's mold of kind of his just nitty-gritty type of player. Isn't afraid to get in front of the net, get those tip-ins, and I'm really looking forward to him back. He's definitely one of my favorite Flyers since he came here from LA a couple years ago. I guess it's been a while now. Actually, he's been here for how many years? Four.
I think this might be going on 4. Yeah.
4 years. Yeah. I think that's going to do it for us, though, on SportsTalk Philadelphia for this week. Please tune in. Tune in all the time. We're here at 10:30 Thursdays. It's going to be a fun year. It looks like it. Shockingly, Eagles have kind of just blown it off out of proportion right now. And we got Sixers, we got Flyers, Phillies. I mean, we're going to have to wait for them for the next couple of years, but it should be a fun year. All right, you can check us on LaSalle TV /Philly on Facebook. You can get at LaSalle TV on Twitter. You can get us on Gmail, YouTube. You can catch us on lasalle.edu/LaSalle TV. For Tommy McIntyre Jr., Elvis Chalakis, and Kevin Cook, thank you guys so much for joining the show. Please tune in next week. Solid.
Good job, yeah.